Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. My name is Tanya, for those of you that are new here, and I'm a watercolor artist. So in today's video, I wanted to do something really simple for you. And Valentine's Day is around the corner, so I decided to do a winter Valentine, but really easy. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so to get started, I've got my watercolor paper, I've got my pencil, my eraser, I've got a generic paintbrush, I've got my archival ink pen here. I might be bringing in some Arteza watercolor brush pens, I'm not sure. I've got my Winsor Newton watercolors, and I've got this glittery paint here that I'm going to be using, I think, right at the end. All right, so to get started, you are going to sketch out your little snowman. So obviously it's 3 circles, the top one being the smallest. And you can be just very sketchy about this. Just make sure the middle one's a little bit bigger than the top one. And then the bottom one is the biggest. And go ahead and just erase the lines that you don't think you're going to be following along with. And if you want to lighten up your lines, you can definitely lighten up your lines as well. I'm not going to lighten up mine too much because I want you to be able to see it on camera. All right, wipe away your eraser shavings and we're going to get started. All right, so I'm going to be bringing in my Payne's Gray. I've got a Payne's Gray here. It's just Winsor Newton. And if you want to bring in black, if you want to bring in blue, you can bring in any color you want. I'm going to go ahead and get that wet here, make a little puddle. I had some already existing on my palette. And you're going to want to go ahead and get just a very light wash of it. So just keep adding water to it, and the paint will become lighter as you add more water. All right, what we're going to do is, to make our snowman look white, since it's on white paper, you have to go around the snowman in order to make him pop off the page a little bit. So again, I'm using Payne's Gray. You can use whatever color you want. I'm going to add a little bit of blue in here. I believe this is my Winsor blue green. And I'm going to just drop in a little bit of that also in the background. If you want to move up to a bigger brush, this here I believe is a size 2. So if you want, for this part of your painting, use a bigger brush. Otherwise you might take you a little bit longer for this painting. So again, I'm just going to mimic the other side of what I did on the first side. A little bit of blue, a little bit of Payne's Gray. I'm just making the atmosphere around him. You don't even have to fill up your whole page if you don't want to. So this is just going to be a really simple, quick little painting. Just kind of crisping it up around your edges of your snowman. All right, so I've got this Payne's Gray and blue wash going on around him. So see how that makes the snowman pop off the page already? You just want to darken the area around him. All right, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to dry this really quick, and then we're going to move on to the snowman. Okay, so the areas around my snowman are nice and dry. So what I can go ahead now and do is erase those pencil marks even more. If they're not covered by the paint, they should come off nice and easy. If they are covered by the paint, you might not be able to get them off as easily, or at all, actually, because once the paint goes on the pencil mark, it doesn't really come off. So I'm just going ahead and I'm erasing the lines around my snowman that I hadn't painted yet. Get rid of those eraser marks. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in a little bit of dimension onto the snowman. So I'm going to add in, I'm just going to be using the same colors that I had already done on the background, but I'm just going to be bringing in just a little bit around him just to show that he's not that flat. So maybe around the edges a little bit. If you want to bring in a little bit even on like the body part of the snowman, you can. Just don't put paint all over him because you want him to still stay nice and white. Bring in a little bit of that blue, a little more Payne's Gray. And this is just to kind of give it some texture and a little dimension on his body. That's all. And if you want, see how I mostly did on the left side of the snowman? Always have an area where you want your light source to come from. So I have an imaginary light source coming from the right. So the whole part of the right of the snowman is nice and light, and it's a little bit darker on the left side. I'm going to add a little blue down here. And if you think you added a little too much, because you don't want that much, just go ahead with your paper towel and dab it off. You might want a little bit here where the three balls connect here. You might want to add just a little bit more shadow in between them, like that. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of sprinkle in some paint in my background here, and I think I'm going to just pick my blue. I believe this is blue-green. I'm going to get a nice wash of it on my palette here. I just want to give some dimension, some texture, some interest. I'm going to add in, maybe I've got a little purple on a little violet on my palette here. Maybe I'll even just add in a little bit of that. Get a nice wash, and I just want to tap it on the background so it looks like it's snowing. So you might not want to use red or anything like that. Maybe just use more like a blue or a purple or a gray, something that can mimic snow. If you get a little bit on your snowman or snow lady, don't worry about it. Just take a little piece of paper towel, and while it's wet, dab it off. It should come off pretty easy, but you have to do it while it's wet. Otherwise, if you wait till those little dots dry, they will not come off that easy. I'll lighten up my snowman a little bit. There, look how cute that is. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our, actually, you know what? Let's take our pencil and we're gonna make it look like he's holding a little heart here. So you can use this for Valentine's Day. He could be holding anything you want, but since Valentine's Day is around the corner, I'm just gonna do a little heart. And I'm gonna do it more towards the middle of his body because I want it to look like he or she is holding the heart. All right, so I just did that in pencil. And I am going to take, you can just use regular watercolor. I've just got my red here, my Arteza watercolor brush pen on hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna outline what I just did, the little heart shape. Get enough on there, like that. And then come in with a smaller brush. I'm gonna go back to my size 2. And I'm just gonna bring in some of that red, because I don't want it to be a solid heart. I want it to look like it's got lights and darks. If you give an object lights and darks, it has a lot more dimension, a lot more perspective to it. If you just do it a solid color, your object is a lot flatter. And I want this to have some dimension. So I'm gonna let that dry. And you can go ahead, if you think that you did a little too much in the middle and you want it to be a little bit of a lighter heart, just go in with a paper towel and just dab it off. Just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and dry this really quick because I wanna put on his arms and his face, and I don't want the snowman to be wet while I do that because then the pen will not work. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry him. Okay, so my snowman and the heart are nice and dry. So at this point I can go in with my archival ink. I've got the Micron pens here. It's a size 3. You can use any size you want. And I'm gonna go ahead and just put little stick arms on him. So the arms would probably come out. You wanna make maybe like 2 little dots just to kind of show you where the little arms are gonna be starting. You want them to go around and then maybe just really generic little stick fingers, kind of holding the heart, like that. And then do the other side, wrap it around, and then little fingers. And it doesn't matter how many fingers he's got. All right, I did 4. I'm gonna go around and just trace what I just did because I want it to be a little bit darker. There, perfect. All right, and I'm gonna give him little eyes, just circles. And if you wanna leave a little white spot in the middle, you can for a little reflection. And I'm gonna do little circles for his mouth. If you want, you can go ahead and pencil in the mouth first and then trace your line with these little circles. That might be easier for you. I just freehanded it, just little circles for his little mouth. And then you might wanna give him a little nose. So I just do a little curve and the nose is gonna be sideways like that, okay? If you didn't wanna do that in the pen, you didn't have to. You could just go ahead and just do it with your, you could just go ahead and do it with your paint. I'm gonna be bringing in, it's called Cad Orange, or you can use just regular watercolors. It doesn't matter. And I'm gonna be filling in his little nose with my Arteza brush pen. If you wanna add a little water to that, you can. You don't really need to. It's such a small little space. You don't even need to add water, but I will. Just like that. Super cute. All right, we're gonna move on to the ground here. It looks like he's floating right now in, on the middle of my page, and we wanna ground him a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that blue and gray paint that I had done before, And I'm just gonna ground him by making like a little hill, just like that. And if you want, you can leave some white space because it is supposed to be snow, so you don't want to fill it in completely. You can go up a little bit on his body, on the edges of his body, I should say. So it looks like it's ground there. If you want to give it a little bit of a hill, you can. It doesn't have to be flat. Make it like a little hill. Look how cute that is. All right. And you can go up as high as you want around his little body. Now, if you feel that you want him to pop off the page a little bit more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my archival ink pen and I'm not going to trace all the circles, but I'm just going to go like maybe where it would be shadowed on his little body. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put in a little bit, maybe a broken up line, just a broken up line of an outline of him. Like that. You could do a little bit on his head if you want. And then when this dries, I will probably go ahead and put a little archival ink pen down here as well. It's just that the ground is still wet, so I don't want to do that. And I think I might just outline his little heart, just a little bit. Not everywhere, but just a little bit. So see how that just kind of pops him off the page a little bit more? If you didn't want to do that part, you don't have to. If you wanted it just to be a little bit softer on the eye, you do not need to outline him. All right, so I've got this, it's called Tattered Angels Glimmer Glitter Paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir it up a little bit. The glitter does like to stay at the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and stir it up. I can't even tell you where I got this from. I've used it in several videos already. I have no idea, somebody gave this to me. I guess you could Google it if you want to. I haven't even done that. So I'm going to take a brush here, just a small generic brush, nothing special because it is glitter paint. And I'm going to put a little bit of glitter right on the heart, just to make that heart pop a little bit more. Now remember, if you go outside the lines, this was your Arteza watercolor brush pen, if you have it, it will bleed off onto the snowman if you go outside of the lines. So just be careful trying to stay in the lines there of the little heart. All right, look how cute he is. I think this is just a fun, easy little painting. You can give it away for Valentine's Day. You can make him hold anything you want. It could be a flower, it could be a snowflake, whatever. But like I said, I just wanted to do a little heart because Valentine's Day is next month. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it and learned a little something. And if you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. And you can make a comment in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this one. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Have a great day. Bye.